On our Let's Bake segment, our guest baker, Hadiza, and assistant will take us through the process of making a delicious marble cake, which will be used to create an Islamic art design. It's surely going to be a delightful learning experience. Let's see how it goes. Over to our baker now.
We'll be making a vanilla and red velvet marble cake. But before we start making our recipe, we need to wash our hands properly to stay safe. To make our recipe, we need to sort out our ingredients. We have flour and baking powder sieved. We have eggs, margarine, sugar, vanilla flavor, a cup of milk, and red food coloring. We need to pour in our sugar and butter into the mixer and mix until light and fluffy. You scrape the bowl between intervals. Our butter and sugar is light and fluffy. We'll add flavoring to our eggs and then beat. Okay. After beating your eggs, you add in your eggs and alternate with flour. Butter is ready. The next procedure after mixing our batter is to first some portion and color. We'll pour in our red food coloring. After pouring the white vanilla butter, then you add in your red. Then you pour in the vanilla butter again, and then you tilt your pan to ensure your butter is leveled. Then you preheat your oven and take in your pan to bake the cake. To train children, you have to be their mother and also a teacher. You have to give them that confidence to see you as their mother. They should be able to talk to you when they come for training, because if they don't have confidence talking to you, some of them might not be able to understand what you are teaching. And at the end of the day, the parents will not see the impact of what you have taught the children.
Our guest baker today is a pleasant and creative sugarcraft artist. Hadiza Yaman Abdulkader is an indigene of Bida, Niger State. Born into the family of engineer Yaman Nupe on the 21st of August 1982, she had her early education at Mao Primary School in Minna, Niger State from 1989 to 1994. Hadiza attended Federal Government College, Kwali in Abuja, where she obtained a senior secondary school certificate from 1994 to 2000. This gentle and meticulous baker also bagged a diploma and bachelor degree in business administration, both at the University of Abuja in 2002 and 2006 respectively. Hadiza Yaman Abdulkader is a self-taught baker who has been able to develop amazing recipes by reading wide and experimenting what she learns on her own. Hadiza put together her childhood experience in the kitchen, plus her passion for baking, and turned these into a viable baking business in 2012. As a result of her compelling desire for raising young generations of bakers, Hadiza Abdulkader published My Skills to Adulthood, a children's training guideline book. She has trained over 100 children in summer classes in 4 years. Her brand, Cravings and Bites, has come up with creative and appealing designs in sugarcraft for milestone celebrations within and outside Abuja. She is happily married to Suleja Abdulkader and blessed with 3 children. Join us as we take our chats with this intelligent and patient baker, Hadiza Yaman Abdulkader.
You're welcome back. You're still watching Baker's World on NTA. Our guest baker is here with me. Madam, it's a pleasure to have you on Baker's World.
My pleasure to meet you too.
You studied business administration in school. So I guess it's not so far-fetched that you will want to own your own business. Now, tell me, why did you decide that owning a baking business is the way to go for you?
Actually, since when I was a child, I've always explored the kitchen because I spent most of my holidays with my grandmom, and she always put us through doing a lot of things in the kitchen. My mom also read food and nutrition in her university days, so she had a lot of cookery books. Sometimes I pick those books and try to practice one or two recipes on my own. And it was interesting when I finish practicing a recipe and it comes out good, especially the baking aspect. After my service year, the cake business was trending, and it was something I actually wanted to do too. So I ventured into baking.
I know you love training children, and you know that's not always very easy. Tell me, share with me your experience and what inspired you to start training children in how to bake.
Actually, there was a friend of mine who told me her daughter always wants to learn how to bake. And she told me if I could take her one-on-one training at home. And I told her to bring her daughter over. So I trained her, and she was happy with the outcome. So from there, I felt since she has already brought her daughter, it was an opportunity that I could train other kids too. I think it's part of me too, to teach other people just like my mom does. I'm always choosing my recipes. Most times I try to pick recipes that will be easy for them to do at their age. And then I make sure they do the practical skill. In that way, it will be easy for them to repeat those skills when they get home.
There is a lot of restriction on social gathering and events due to the COVID-19 pandemic. How is business in this period for bakers?
People are ordering cakes because most times kids like eating outside. They like buying things from the cafeterias, from canteens. And now that they are at home, they cannot lay their hands on those shops. They still order cakes to eat at home with the family because you can't take sweet things away from children. And children always look up to the date of their birthday, and parents won't want them to have a birthday without a cake. Even if it's a small size cake, they are ordering, but it couldn't be as big as it would be at the normal time, but they still have a cake to cut for their birthday. It's been normal to me.
You're making for us a geometric pattern cake, and I've seen the design. It looks like it comes with a lot of pattern, a lot of details. What inspired you to make this type of cake? And on what occasion do people order for this type of cake?
Actually, the cake has a lot of details, and I'm someone who likes to make cakes that have lots of details in them because it will actually bring out the creativity in you. The cake can be used to celebrate an Eid occasion. It's actually a geometric cake, but the pattern is an Islamic pattern cake too. You could use them to celebrate Eid and then, or to mark an occasion, an opening ceremony in a mosque, or some other Islamic functions too.
Tell me about what you're going to be using to achieve all the intricate patterns on this design.
We have edible prints, then we have molds, we have the gold highlighter. You need a shaped pan to actually achieve that particular shape too.
What would be your advice for bakers out there today? How should they conduct business in this period? And also in terms of keeping hygiene and keeping the treats and cakes they make safe for consumers.
Bakers need to step up with hygiene practices because it's you are making something which is a consumable good, and consumables are actually supposed to be made under hygiene environment. But at this time, they should really take it seriously. They should ensure they wash their hands regularly. You should keep your surfaces and environment very clean. They should keep their machines and other utensils used very clean. You should also take transfers and not cash at this period, so you don't have hand contact with your customers, except on cases where transfers cannot be made. I would advise delivery at this point, where your delivery agent would sanitize properly and drop for them, so you would minimize the number of customers that come to have direct contact with you.
Thank you so much. It's truly an inspiring conversation.
Thank you too.
That was our conversation with the CEO of Cravings and Bite, Mrs. Hadiza Yaman Abdulkadir. But before we go back to decorate our cake, we have Baker's Gist on the lineup for you. Please enjoy it.
Just the way we've been reminded on a constant basis, on a daily basis, of all the safety measures we need to put in place. The bakers are also inclusive, for them to keep to those safety measures. Safety measures that we're talking about: the washing of hands, the physical, or we call it social or physical distancing, that we need to put in place, and then the wearing of our masks when we need to go out. Take, for example, bakers, they need to go and buy their products, maybe in the market. The marketplaces are crowded, so they need to put on their mask in order to protect themselves from being infected. We're talking about community infection these days, so that will now curb them from having any infection that they might even take home to where they are, or even to their offices where they need to do their work. While you are doing your baking, or while you are preparing your dough, or whatever you are preparing in order to continue with what you are doing, at times you have a helper that will want to help you. We are talking about physical distancing this time around. We say between 1.5 meters or 2 meters away. Just the way me and you are sitting down now. I'm not using my mask, because the coronavirus, as we said, is a droplet infection. It can't go beyond that. So when I'm talking now, or I'm talking to you, if there's any droplets, it falls. It doesn't go beyond that distance. So I can afford not to use my mask. But when you have a helper helping you, the person is close to you, you have to put on your mask. At times, people might react to maybe the flour or whatever material you are using, and then want to sneeze or cough or something. We should always remember, just the way we've been told, you sneeze or cough into your elbow, because we are talking about the virus in our hands. By the time you finish all your work and you've packaged everything you do, you finish baking and everything, you still wash your hands, you carry your cake, you put in, you package it. The person that is even going to collect that from you also need to wash hands in this period. You wash your hands, you dry it before you carry. The measures they can put in when customers are coming. Some people might put a sort of marking from where the customer service area is, and where the person that will come and collect your delivery, where the person will be, at least a meter difference. Maybe they will have to construct whatever, that type of table and delivery box that they normally stay in. Where you put your thing, you can easily push, the person can long the hand and pick. So no, that contact is still away. You carry your goods and you go. If you are calling in a delivery person to come and collect, same thing. The distance, we still have to maintain that distance.
Our hexagon-shaped cake is out of the oven. We will need to cover it with fondant. But before we do that, we'll crumb coat our cake with butter icing to enable the fondant stay on the body of the cake. So you apply butter icing and spread it over all around the cake. You would apply butter icing on the other layer too. this aside and roll our fondant for cover. Smoothing your cake once a day. To stack a 2-tier cake, you need to dough the base layer. You insert a dowel rod. You make a mark on your dowel rod, and then you bring it out and cut. After doweling, you can now add up your top tier. Most times I use a paper plate underneath, so you could hold your cake and your hand will not sink into the cake. Or you could use a stacking board, then you place. To make a geometric pattern cake, we actually need our pattern, geometric pattern. You could download it from an internet, you pick your desired pattern and have it printed out on edible sheets. Be careful not to apply excess glue, as that will wet the paper. Then you attach the paper to it. And then you cut this out neatly. Excess fondant. You end up having this with your fondant at the back, which you would attach to the cake. You apply glue to the surface where you would attach the pattern. Then you attach your pattern. You continue this process until all sides are covered. You want to cover the topmost tier of the cake. We will continue with the decoration of our cake. And then you add the topmost part. We will start with the base pattern. We would attach a glue as usual. the shiny gold effect, you need an edible spirit and a gold highlighter. We are done with our geometric pattern cake. I'm sure you all love the design.
Wow, this is such a beautiful cake. I love it. Well done. In fact, when she was doing this cake, every time I think she's through, she keeps adding another layer, adding another pattern. It's just beautiful. Don't you agree? But despite everything, we still must taste this cake and see how it tastes inside. So let's have it. Fantastic, fantastic. This is just delicious. Even the red marble on it is very beautiful. I love it. Well done once again. I'm sure you've learned one or two things from our baker's creativity. That's all we have for you today on Baker's World. Till next week, when we come your way with a more exciting episode of Baker's World, you can reach us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's Baker's World on NTA. Till next week, my name is Funke Oyele. Thanks for watching.
This is for those who have honored the call of duty to serve their motherland. The Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force. The ones whose shoulder we rest on. The ones who sacrifice their lives for our safety without knowing our names. The ones whose aim it is to protect us, our sovereignty and honor as a people. You are our heroes. On the ground, on the sea, on air. Through the theater of bullets, blood, tears, sweat, and uncertainty, you have demonstrated courage. You have fought gallantly and selflessly for your countrymen. You have left your family to fight for other families. Some of you have even paid the ultimate price.
They are gallant heroes and will always remain heroes. One such hero was the late Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, 21st Chief of Army Staff.
It is now high time we get back and fight through and support our forces
and pay tribute to their courage, bravery, and sacrifices as they battle to keep us together in unity and peace.
Today, we remember Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, the immediate past Chief of Army Staff, a fallen hero. Today, we also remember all the fallen heroes of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
Today, we remember the sacrifices of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
Today, we remember the sacrifices of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
Today, we remember the sacrifices of the Nigerian Armed Forces, and we say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eshe Goni.
Mungo de Dalu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day. This message is sponsored by the General Ibrahim Atahiru Foundation.
Welcome to the world's first football scouting reality show, Football Dreams. We kicked off an extensive scouting selection for football talents in 2019, and together with our African Football Network, we've evaluated over 3,000 players from 13 countries. They all share the same dream, that one day they will become a professional football player. Only 28 players made it to fight for a contract with the professional European team in the grand finale of Football Dreams 2021 in Benin. Our main host and former professional footballer, England national player, and FA Cup winner John Fashanu will guide us through the show and push the players through extremely hard and challenging tests. Halfway to the final, 14 of the 28 players will be eliminated, but only one player will win the professional contract.
Nigeria has a lot of rich social, cultural, economic, and historical antecedents. You cannot beat the historical narrative of our cultural evolution. On today's edition of our history, we will be focusing on the ancient city of Suleja, the historical account I bet you will live to remember. My name is Funke Oyeyele, and I will be your anchor on today's edition of the program. Welcome. Our first feature shall encapsulate the migration and the foundation of the ancient city of Suleja. Who were the original settlers? Where did they come from? And what was their journey like? Take a view.
The ancient city of Abuja, now Suleja, was a Hausa principality founded by the former ruling dynasty of Zazzau Kingdom, with its capital at Zaria. By 1804, when Sheikh Usman Dan Fodio launched his Islamic reformist jihad in the Hausa land, the jihad did not extend to Zazzau Kingdom because the then king of Zazzau, Ishaku Jatau, accepted the Sheikh's call to reform Islam. As a result, this protected and prevented his kingdom from the jihadist conquest. However, by 1806, when Ishaku Jatau died and his son Muhammad Makau succeeded him, he repudiated the oath of allegiance his father, late Ishaku Jatau, gave to the jihadists. As a result, his kingdom became exposed and susceptible to attack from the jihadists. It became only a matter of time before the Fulani jihadists came calling. Therefore, by 1808, the jihadists invaded Zaria, the capital of Zazzau Kingdom, in a surprise attack while the people were observing Eid al-Kabir prayer outside the town, and it was forbidden for them to carry arms. Caught unawares, Makau and his men fled and wandered for 20 years, moving southwards until they reached the present-day Suleja, because it was thought that the jihad had already taken over the northern parts, believing therefore that moving southwards was a more safer option. While they were fleeing, the jihadists were pursuing until they arrived Zuba, presently in the Federal Capital Territory, in 1825. On arrival at Zuba, the chief of Zuba, Muhammad Gwabo, welcomed and sheltered them. Makau and his men encamped outside the gate of Zuba, from where he fought some of his vassal states, which included Jiwa. On his departure from Zuba, he proceeded to Panda, Toto, Gulu, and then to Lapai, where he fought the new rulers of the Lapai Emirate. It was in that encounter that Macau was killed on account of treachery and betrayal by his men, who deserted him because they thought that he would not support their quest for acquisition and sale of captives as slaves after their conquest.
Before he died in the battle with the Lapai forces, it is said that Macau called the attention of his two brothers that were with him. One, Abubakar Baki, because he was dark-skinned person, Abubakar Baki, and his younger one, Abubakar Fari, because he was light in complexion. So it is said that Macau advised the elders of his brothers, that is Abubakar Baki, not to rule until after his younger one, Abubakar Fari, ruled. So as a result, after Macau was killed, now Abubakar Fari gathered the remnants of the Zagi people, about 3,000 of them, and then he led them in search of a new settlement. The Zagi people were the original Hausa people of Zaria. Just like the Hausa people of Kano, you call them Kanawa. The Hausa people of Katsina, you call them Katsinawa. The Hausa people of Gobe, you call them Gobirawa. So the Hausa people of Zaria were called Zagi.
Having gathered and inspiring the Zagi people and army, Abubakar Fari Jatau led them triumphantly to the present site of the city of Suleja, founded the town in 1828 and proclaimed himself the Emir of Abuja. It must be known that the present city of Suleja was actually named Abuja by Abubakar Fari Jatau, who coined the name from the first three letters of his name, Abubakar, and the first two letters of his surname, Jatau. Thus living at surrounding settlements such as Abuchi, Kurmi Sarki, Madala, and Diko. Until Abubakar Fari Jatau led his people into the present site, the place was dreadful and fearful for people to live in. For obvious reasons, the location of the present site was suitable for the Zagi people. First, it was a valley surrounded by hills and rocks. Therefore, the hills and rocks provided security for the new settlement against any external aggression. Second, the vegetation provides fertile soil for agricultural activities such as farming. What more, the area enjoys adequate rainfall, which also encourages immense farming activities. There are also rivers, which provides opportunities for economic activities such as fishing as well as irrigation farming.
Before 1976, Abuja, presently Suleja, extended to as far as Abaji borders, to as far as Karmo borders, to as far as Jere in present Kaduna State, to as far as Paiko, just some 20 kilometers to Mina, the state capital of Niger State. So it was a vast emirate, before the FCT was created.
In 1828, when Abubakar Fari Jatau inaugurated his administration after the founding of the state, he operated a monarchical system of administration with the king at the head. He was both the political and religious leader. He was assisted by four principal officers, namely Madaki, who is the second in command in the administration of the kingdom and later emirate as from 1904 till date. Others are the Galadima, Wombai, and Dalhatu. Since the emirate was an expansive one with so many villages and communities under her, there were some other traditional title holders apart from the four principal title holders through whom the Emir of Abuja exercised control of the emirate. For example, there was the district head called Hakimi who oversees the various districts. Within the districts were villages who were headed by the village heads, otherwise known as Dakatai. The Dakatai ruled the villages and report to the Hakimi, the district head. Under the villages were various wards also headed by the ward heads, who are equally answerable to the Dakatei. These were the chains of authority and command within the Abuja Kingdom, Emirate or division until the 1976 local government reforms, when the powers of the Emir was considerably whittled down. The local government reforms of 1976 transferred powers to the chairman of the local government council, thereby making the traditional institutions in the country ceremonial heads of their domain.
A very interesting story, I must say. I hope that was a very informative and interesting account for you. Now, when the Zegi arrived in Abuja, it's good to know how they survived economically to build the fledgling city of Abuja. This next feature will tell us all about the economic activity of the people of Abuja, now Suleja.
One of the many economic activities of the people of Suleja is farming. As it has been earlier established, the area enjoys a huge amount of rainfall, thereby making farming activities possible. Not only does the area enjoy tremendous amount of rainfall, the soil is good and perfect for farming different crops. These are the basic necessary requirements for the people to engage in farming. In particular, the Gbagi engage in large-scale farming. They do not just produce for their own consumption. The surplus was used as a form of exchange in the various markets, both within and outside the town. They produce root crops such as cassava and yams, as well as cereals which include maize, guinea corn, rice, millet, amongst others. Furthermore, trading activities began in Abuja with the creation and establishment of many markets called Yara in key areas of the town such as Kofar Makama and Gwan Beriberi, Iantoka and Zariyawa shortly after the foundation of the town. These were largely evening markets which allows women to obtain the necessary condiments for the evening meals. As time went by, a big market was established at a place called Gabashi just outside the MS Palace. It was the first big market in the town. Later, with the growth and expansion of the town, especially with the opening of the gate of the town and the influx of more migrants, Abuja received a boost in economic activities as the town now had more traders, merchants who visited other market centers in faraway places such as Zaria, Bida, Lapai, Ilorin, amongst others, on foot, some on donkeys and horseback to trade with the people. The Abuja merchants exported what they produced in the town and acquired from those other market centers what was lacking in their own town. There is no gainsaying the fact that the people of Abuja enjoyed commercial contacts and relationship with their near and distant neighbors. Again, the people of Abuja also practice cloth weaving, even though today it is no longer practiced on a large scale as a result of the flooding of the market with European clothing materials. The Zegi, the Rubawa, and the Afawa women were the popular cloth weavers in Abuja. The Zegi were the earliest migrants from Zaria who followed Macau and his warlords to the present site of Suleja. The Rubawas were migrants from Basari in present-day Katsina State, while the Afawas were the Afo people who migrated to Suleja from Nasarawa town from the present-day Nasarawa State. They all came with their skills, capital, and industry to enhance the economic activities of the fledgling city, especially in the area of cloth weaving, dyeing, and blacksmithing. They produce various items such as cotton and weave it into different cloths and items such as wrappers and caps. From the various weaving centers, they took them to the dye pits for dyeing. Notably, there were about 3 dyeing centers in Suleja. These include Karofin Ashehu, the dyeing pit area at Angwan Malam Shehu, Karofin Hamida, the dyeing pit around the MS Palace, and Karofin Dawaki, the dyeing pit located around Dawaki area. Unfortunately today, the cloth weaving industry is in total collapse and a shadow of itself, unlike what it used to be in the past. The practice of blacksmithing in the various blacksmithing centers in the city of Abuja cannot be overemphasized. Located at places such as Agwan Zariyawa, Angwan Yantoka, and another at the back of the central mosque, various implements used for various economic activities were produced at these centers. Farmers, for instance, rely on the products from the blacksmith centers to engage in farming activities. Cutlasses, axes, and hoes were vital implements needed by the farmers. The Gbagi particularly specialize in wood carving. In their mostly populated area, Angwangwari in Abuja, they carry out their trades, which include wood carving in door frames, clocks, stools, chairs, among others. They also produce handles for various farming implements such as hoes, cutlasses, and axes. By the end of the 19th century, after the town was established and consolidated, Abuja town witnessed the influx of more Zege people from Zaria. A lot of these were artisans who specialized in leather works, producing various items from hides and skin, such as sandals, bags, purse, and other items used by the ruling class. Pottery was another major economic activity popular in the city of Abuja. Mastered by the Gbagi women, they produced various items from the clay products such as pots of various sizes for cooking, storage of water, storage of clothes, flower vases, among other valuables. The way the Gbagi women mastered the art of pottery was the reason the British decided to establish a pottery center in Suleja, not forgetting that the area was blessed with all the necessary resources such as clay and water, which were in abundance in Abuja. The pottery center was established by the British in 1951 across the Kantoma Bridge, while production started at the center in 1952.
Wow. It is obvious that the resilience of the people, as well as the hard work in agriculture, farming, poetry, amongst others, are the bedrock of the economy of the people. Though some of these activities are no longer as prevalent today, the people still practice large-scale farming and also engage in trading activities. A very industrious people, I must say. Now, all parts of Nigeria are blessed with at least one basic tourist potential. Waterfall, caves, our vegetation are what stands us out as a nation. Let us find out the tourist potential of the city of Suleja. I'm sure you will enjoy this.
As many other parts of Nigeria, the city of Suleja is blessed with great tourist potentials. One of such tourist potentials is the magnificent Zuma Rock, a spectacular monolith located along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. The Zuma Rock stands at about 2,400 feet above the sea level. It is a massive rock with striking features like that of a human being. It has the shape of a human face, eyes, nose, and mouth. The word Zuma is a corruption of the word Ezunwaba, a Koro word meaning place of catching guinea fowls. It was also called Zumwa. In the past, Zuma Rock was so dreaded that no man dared to venture into the area without the consent or assistance of the custodian of the rock. It was generally believed the rock and its surroundings was possessed by evil spirits and that it has mystical powers. Any sacrifice to the Zuma rock has to be through the custodians of the rock, who lived around a smaller rock close to the Zuma rock. Today, people move freely around the Zuma rock without any fear of the supposed evil spirit that was said to inhabit the rock. As a matter of fact, the soil base of the rock is fertile and suitable for farming, which people around the place has taken advantage of. Unfortunately, government is yet to tap the full potentials of the Zuma Rock as a tourist attraction, as the place is bereft of government attention and presence. Located about a mile west of Suleja town is Mayanka Falls. Interestingly, few residents of Suleja today are familiar with this historical location and the capacity that gave it its fearful name, Mayanka. It is said that the infamy and the fearfulness and thus the interesting parts of the tale about the location seem all more about the Mayanka than about the falls itself, whatever the attraction the falls may exude to any modern-day tourist. Mayanka is a Hausa word meaning slaughterhouse or slaughter slab. However, this particular location in Suleja was a place of execution of criminals sentenced to death by the traditional authorities of the domain in the pre-colonial period. It was the first king of the ancient city, Abubakar Jatau, that first used the place to execute criminal members of the community, such as murderers and armed robbers who were to be punished by death. In Hausa land of northern Nigeria, every community had a Hauni, the executioner, whose sole duty it was to execute anyone sentenced to death by the royal court. In Suleja in those days, the location marked for that purpose was the valley down the falls of River Iku. Hence, the location was called Mayanka, the place of execution. In order for the emir to be sure that his order has been carried out, the Hauni will first cut off the hands of the criminal who was to suffer execution and then take it to the emir as a proof that his order had been respected. Satisfied that his order had been executed, the whole body of the criminal will thereafter be thrown into the river. Indeed, the Mayanka Valley used to be a very dreaded place. However, in the colonial period, European tourists visit the Mayanka Falls to enjoy the serene atmosphere and watch the water cascade into the pool and flow away. A beautiful sight to behold. Importantly, the valley is full of green vegetation and arable land, good for farming activities.
Where I am standing are the pits. We have about 5 different pits here. This is where we soak all our clay from the sources where we get them. After soaking them here, we will now process all of them into the engine room here where we process every clay.
The popular Ladi Kwali Pottery Center in Suleja today remains famous for its past achievements and glory. Established under the then Northern Regional Government by Michael Cardew, who was a British studio potter with a clear mandate of identifying a suitable location in which a center for pottery training of locals could be set up. After undergoing a long search, Michael Cardew, a British colonialist, resolved to use Suleja and then named the center Abuja Training Pottery Center, due to the fact that Suleja was central to northern Nigeria, including the fact that the town was already notable for the production of wonderful local pots. Michael Cardew referred to Abuja as the place for inspiration suitable for the making of good pots. What more, the basic ingredients for pottery, clay and water, were in much abundance in Abuja. While the training was meant to expose potters to modern trends of pot making, Michael Cardew greatly admired the unique styles and techniques of Ladi Kwali that he convinced her to join his team. With Kwali's hard work and the mastery displayed by her and her teammates, their artistic combination of traditional method with the new techniques in no time began to gain international recognition to the extent that Michael Cardew sought opportunities abroad to expose their works through exhibitions. The center was later renamed Ladi Kwali Pottery Center in honor of Ladi Kwali, the famous Gbagi or Gwari potter who hailed from Kwali in the present-day Federal Capital Territory, but who lived and died in Suleja. This is the first building in Abuja, the Zauren Zazau. It may also be referred to as the first palace of the Emir of Zazau because when Abubakar Jatau got into Abuja in 1828, it was the first building erected for him where he stayed before the palace was built. Even though today the building has undergone several renovation work with a touch of modernity, the building still exists till today. Described as one of Nigeria's famous tourist attractions, Gurara Falls was discovered in 1745 by a Gwari hunter called Buba as he was traveling from Zaria to hunt for animals. The falls is about 78 kilometers from Minna, the Niger state capital, and about 50 kilometers from Abuja, the nation's federal capital. History records that Gurara derived its name from two gods once worshipped by the Gwari people, Gura and Rara. The Bono community who lives around the falls pray and make sacrifices to the waterfalls, which turn the place into a recreation and relaxation area.
Today, we have visitors from all over the world. And the government of Niger State is making everything possible to develop this waterfall for tourism destination. If government can put this place in place, it can employ more than 10,000 youths per annum. Here if you put 5-star hotel, put cable car, put golf course, how many people? These are on top resort.
Hence, Gurara Falls ceased to be a place.
Breathtaking, isn't it? The rich story and sight of the Gurara and Mayanka Fall of our history. Our focus has been on the ancient city of Suleja. Next week is going to be a must-watch edition, so keep a date with us. Until then, I am Funke Oyeyele. Bye for now.
This vaccine is safe and it has been certified safe and usable by NAFTA.
network service of the NTA.
Cross River State government makes remarkable progress in the agricultural sector for food sufficiency. War against drug trafficking and abuse. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency makes giant strides. Plus, medical practitioners make case for telemedicine amidst COVID-19 pandemic. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this week's edition of The Correspondence. It promises to be interesting and educating as usual. I am Tessie Omiri. You're welcome. Let's begin with the federal government's drive to diversify the nation's economy, which to a large extent has been realistic as most agriculturalists have returned to the farm, just as some state governments are embracing the policy and now fine-tuning modalities to consolidate on the various agricultural partnership scheme with the federal government. Correspondent Udwak Ethim reports that this is the case with Cross River State, as stakeholders say last year agricultural engagement was rewarding.
Agricultural sector in Nigeria has received desired attention from the federal government, with huge investment targeted at ensuring food security and job creation. In Cross River State, stakeholders noted that various schemes and programs of the federal government are implemented, such as Commercial Agriculture Development Program, Rice Borrower Scheme, training of youth and extension workers in agribusiness.
The state government has also keyed into the poultry production. It is again the federal government project like the aquaculture under the Commercial Agricultural Development Scheme is on the priority list of our attention of the Cross River State, and the state is doing well. So oil palm production is one of the programs which the state government has really keyed into commercially, and you find commercial oil palm estates springing in different parts of the state because of the state government providing the enabling environment.
With this factory coming on, we will need maize. So we'll be looking to finance maize farmers. With this factory coming on, that we are going to be doing soya beans, we need to make sure that working with the state government, we have them so they can produce enough. You have the feed mill here that can take the maize and the soya bean mill, and then we're beginning to get the basic raw materials for feed. So everything that we need to turn around or allow this project to run sustainably is available in Cross River.
This potentiality is for yet unborn generation. It's a giant stride by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Cross River. And we hope to back them by law so that we will have a successful atmosphere whereby a lot of funds was encouraged in this facility so that it will have a backward and forward integration of the economy.
Highlighting successes recorded in the sector, the Cross River State government promised to consolidate on the existing projects that are ongoing to step up food sufficiency.
Given this, the natural endowment of the state for agricultural production, the Cross River State government has invested massively in agricultural development as a strategy to boost the economy of the state.
Promoting farmer-friendly policies, stakeholders maintained will also help the state and nation achieve food sufficiency.
Cross River State should also be known that its temperate environment, or we having all the 7 climates, is a condition to favor us to establish every crop. At all times, the 12 months of the year is full of planting season. That should give us what we should use for the places.
However, agricultural sector in Cross River State in the period under review is described as a huge success based on the state's agriculture industrialization policy.
For a state endowed with conducive climate and farming, Cross River State is indeed on the journey to food sufficiency. Many thanks, Uduak. Now let's talk about the drug war. 2021 was a busy year for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, leading to the arrest of more than 12,000 suspected drug traffickers and the destruction of illicit drugs. Correspondent Abdul Malik Hassan takes us through some of the landmark achievements of the agency, challenges and prospects for 2022.
Brigadier General Buba Marwa is the man leading the team on the drug war, and 2021 was quite engaging. The cannabis plantations, airports and interstate boundaries were the battlegrounds. So many battles were fought in 2021 that resulted in the arrest of more than 11,000 drug traffickers, confiscation of over 3.3 million kilograms of illicit substances, and destruction of 20 tons of the substances, with an estimated street value of over 50 billion naira.
To some naysayers, these figures may not mean much, but as they say, nothing is big or small except by comparison. By comparing these results to those of previous years, one can see a difference so clearly that it begs the question: the secret is the grace of God and the motivation of the officers and men, the agency.
Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport
are there deceiving you, telling you to do this and do that with empty guarantee